Hey guys, welcome to Exploring Cinema. This is the 6th episode of my new show, Last Week in Cinema, where I talk about the bigger news in the world of movies that occurred last weekend, or at least broke in the previous week. Now, before I start, I do actually want to start by saying thank you for joining me and watching me talk about movies, whether it's in my reviews or my other content, just like this show. And for those of you who are new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up to date with everything that's happening on the channel. Alright, as I stated before, this show is all about the news that broke last week. And the reason why I do that is because I love talking about breaking news in cinema, and I don't really... Oh. Hold on, I got a text. Oh. I don't think I did, it was a notification. But, I do it like that because my day job currently has me on a mid-schedule, or a graveyard shift. I am actually going to be switching to another schedule soon, but I may actually still keep up this entire thing. But, because of my schedule, I would always sleep during the actual breaking news. So by the time I had enough time to actually make a video, it wouldn't have mattered. So I decided to actually take that difficulty and turn it into a strength. And I came up with the idea of just talking about everything the following Monday from the previous week. And that's where I came up with Last Week in Cinema. So what I always do is that I'll start with the news topics, and then at the end of the show I will actually get into the most recent weekend box office, since it ended at least almost 12 hours ago. But for the first topic, we actually have, this is actually interesting. Okay, so Seth Rogen has recently been continuously honing his skills as a director and an actor, whether it's for, director and writer. I actually forgot that he writes as well. He's also a screenwriter now. But he's been honing skills in those areas for the past year, whether it's in movies or television, and he's even started making his way into some more dramatic roles. He has actually signed up for another dramatic role as the legendary CBS anchorman Walter Cronkite in the film Newsflash, and this is the description. The drama will take place on November 22nd, 1963, which for all you guys who either grew up during that time or any history buffs, that was the day that JFK was assassinated. And it apparently unfolds in real time as Cronkite and his producer, Don Hewitt, attempt to sift through the chaotic rumors and unverified information to accurately report one of the biggest news stories in history, all while their boss Jim Aubrey attempts to find ways to juice up the coverage, as CBS News hasn't been performing as well as he wanted. And the film promises to be a timely story that is all the more relevant today in a world plagued by fake news. Rogen and the director, David Gordon Green, I believe it is, yes, he had worked with Rogen previously on Pineapple Express. And so far, they're the only two confirmed for the project, though I do know that reports have said that Mark Ruffalo and Bryan Cranston are being courted. Ruffalo for the role of Hewitt, and then Cranston is being eyed for the role of Aubrey. Excuse me. Now, I've never watched Pineapple Express, and I've never watched anything from the director, but I'm personally excited for this movie because I love seeing comedic actors go dramatic, because actually, I've seen many of the best dramatic actors actually come from comedic backgrounds, and usually the best dramatic actors came from comedic roles. And honestly, I love any film that gives an audience insight into history, especially something that we may not exactly be familiar with. Okay, so for the next subject, actually, hold on. My throat's a little dry, as it always is whenever I do this show. Oh, that's good. Oh, so a little bit before I actually started doing this show, I had done, like, small movie news videos every once in a while, and one of the first ones was where I talked about the announcement that Sylvester Stallone was going to be directing Creed 2, and, you know, the sequel to Ryan Coogler's Creed, which I think is a really good movie. And I was really excited because Stallone has made, he's directed quite a few good films, including some of the best Rocky films. And this universe is his baby, so it would make sense for him to actually direct. But it would seem that he has decided that he'd rather focus on actually starring in the film than both act and direct, which makes sense. He's getting on in years. But MGM and Warner Brothers, who are co-creating the film, or co-producing, have announced that they've hired a new director with Stephen Caple Jr., who was handpicked by Stallone and Michael B. Jordan, the guy who plays Creed in the movies. Capel's an indie director who directed one small 2016 film called The Land, which I have never heard of. And actually, I had to look up his name. I couldn't find him anywhere. I even typed it in Wikipedia. His name didn't even pop up. The only thing that popped up was The Land, the actual Wikipedia page for his film. And even through that, I didn't get one description about what the film is about. But if he's been hired for a big-name franchise like the Rocky franchise, which Creed is a part of, even if it's a spin-off, he must be good. He must actually be good, and his film must be good if he's getting hired for this big franchise. Other than this announcement, not much is really known about the film itself, though it still holds a current release date of November 21st, 2018, so really not too far away. I am sad, as I said earlier, that Stallone won't be directing, but really, if he isn't up for it, I'm still glad that he's coming back as Rocky. Okay, so for the next topic. After Justice League, many people, including myself, have hoped that Warner Brothers and DC would finally take measures to fix their DC cinematic universe, including maybe holding off on announced projects, and even rebooting the entire universe. But if anything that came out of the Brazil Comic-Con during last week is to be believed, the studio's keeping their original slate, including the Wonder Woman sequel, Suicide Squad 2, Flashpoint, Shazam, Batgirl, Green Lantern Corps, The Batman, and Justice League Dark, which is kind of weird for Justice League Dark. I feel like you need to really have the universe last a bit longer before you do something like that. It's like you couldn't have Doctor Strange as one of the first MCU heroes. You had to wait a while for that. I feel like Justice League Dark is about the same concept. I really don't understand why they're doing this, unless they actually feel like the slate won't be affected by the restructuring of DC and the integration with the rest of Warner Brothers' film department. Surprisingly, there's a few films that were actually announced in the past that were not on the list to still be going, including Deathstroke, the 3 films that has Harley Quinn in there somewhere, and then the Joker standalone film that has Martin Scorsese attached. I personally don't like any of what I just said, but all I know is that with my Movie Pass, the next time that they have a DCEU movie come out, I will not be handing those bastards my hard-earned money. I will be using a service that makes it to where I don't really have to pay for movies. Because, like I said, I do not want to hand these bastards my money if it's just going to be another suckfest. In smaller news, the last episode, I mentioned that there may be a few announcements on the Obi-Wan movie going on, but I didn't put them in my show notes because I couldn't confirm their validity, but I now can. It has been announced that the film is going under the production name of Joshua Tree, and is being set to start production in January of 2019, not an exact date, just an exact month. And that would set a release for sometime in 2020, most likely in May, because they seem to be trying to put all of the Star Wars movies back in May, even though December works out for them, but that's, honestly, that part's pure speculation on my part. So far, Stephen Daldry is still set to direct, and, excuse me, there's still no official announcement that Ewan McGregor is returning, even though I think it would be stupid if there was any hesitation to bring him back, especially because he has come out and said, oh yeah, I would love to play Obi-Wan again, yeah. there'd be no reason to bring him back. Okay, and this one's probably the biggest announcement throughout the week, and I'm pretty sure people are still talking about it because people are still mixed on the actual news. But last month we learned on again, off again, there were talks between Disney and Fox involving Fox selling some of their assets because, actually I'll get into that later, but it was including their film section. And for a while, Disney and Comcast, Comcast owns Universal Studios, they were looking to purchase their actual assets, Fox's assets, but Comcast actually dropped out, I think, a little under a week before this actual announcement. But it was actually announced last week that there was a deal that went through between Fox and Disney that had been made, a $52.4 billion all-stock deal. And the company is going to the company was going to sell its assets regardless of who was going to get it, because it was in a fair bit of debt, and they really didn't want to be in the debt. And also, the people who were running Fox really weren't interested in managing a company of Fox's size anymore. They really wanted to downsize and start focusing just on sports, broadcast TV, and Fox News. And in the wake of the news that Disney had bought the assets from Fox, Bob Iger, who actually announced a while ago, I think on one of, if not my very first episode of Last Week in Cinema, he said that he was going to be... Wait. Actually, I may not have. I may have planned to do a video, but it was too late. Let me think. I really don't remember, but Bob Iger, the chairman and CEO of Disney, had announced a while ago that he was going to be retiring sometime late 2018. But he has actually extended his contract into 2021 just so that he can oversee the transition of the Fox assets. Now, despite the deal actually going through, we won't actually see changes happen too quickly. It will take about, let me see. I think somebody said online it would most likely take about 18 months for the government to actually approve the deal, mainly because they're analyzing every single inch and every little single detail about the deal to make sure that nothing violates antitrust laws. And with that, we still don't know what exactly will happen with the film arm of Fox, with it being part of Disney now. I mean, will it be integrated into the actual Walt Disney Studios? Will Disney keep it as a separate company like they do for Lucasfilm and Marvel and still Pixar? Will the X-Men be integrated into somehow into the MCU, or will they keep their own cinematic universe? I know that last part, some people... I'm pretty sure that somebody somewhere announced that they are thinking about putting the MCU and the X-Men together somehow, but I don't see how that's going to happen, because that just makes no sense, because you already have the MCU established with something, and then you can't just add in mutants, which the whole point is that the X-Men, that entire story arc is supposed to be centered around how, for decades, many people have been worried about the mutant problem, and it's kind of like mirroring the Civil Rights Act, which is what the entire thing is based off of, was just symbolism of the Civil Rights Act. Also, hundreds of people working for the film arm of Fox could potentially lose their jobs due to redundancies with the Disney employees, unless they did decide to keep it as a separate company. And speaking of separate companies, what happens to Fox Searchlight, the company under Fox that's known for making small indie films? I mean, I wonder whether or not they are a different company, if they will actually let the filmmakers continue making rated R material. And I'm not just talking about for Fox Searchlight. That's actually my other important question, is what are they going to do with Fox Searchlight, which makes a lot of indie films, and are they still going to let films do rated R? I know that Bob Iger has said that he doesn't see why they can't do a rated R Deadpool movie, but I'm talking about like other things. But anyway, I am not an expert to actually answer a lot of these questions. I just comment on how I feel, or I just tell a little bit of the news. Okay. Oh, so the other day, the nominations for the upcoming Golden Globes that are happening like right after the start of the new year were announced, and the Golden Globes involve film and television, but I just want to focus on the film categories. And naturally, a lot of people say the Golden Globes don't matter, but really, if you think about it, when you look at the Golden Globes, they sometimes potentially could show how the Oscars will work out, whether it's with nominations or just straight up wins. But what I'll do is I will go down in order from the lowest category on the list for film, go from bottom to the top, and then after pretty much most of the categories, I will be giving short thoughts on that category. But I say most because sometimes I won't really have any kind of opinion on the nominees, especially if, like, the listing involves a lot of films that I haven't seen yet. Like, if I think there's one in there where I haven't seen anything in there but 3 billboards, so I'm not gonna say, like, okay, I haven't seen this one, I haven't seen this one. This one's good, but I don't think it'll win because it was like, I don't know. It's a little bit confusing, but, okay, so first off, we have Best Motion Picture for the animated genre. We have The Boss Baby, for some reason. The Breadwinner, no idea what that is. Loving Vincent, which, by the way, looks like a really good movie. I'm actually making sure to see it right after the new year. Ferdinand, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard it isn't actually that bad. Like, I know right now it's got a 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then Coco. Now, you guys know which film I'm personally rooting for, and that's Coco. I mean, Boss Baby is just terrible, and as I've said, I've never heard of Breadwinner, and I really want to see Loving Vincent just because of the animation style, and I still haven't seen Ferdinand. I know that Rotten Tomatoes has that score, but from the trailers, it really doesn't look that good, but honestly, maybe I'll watch it after a while, and it could surprise me. I would honestly replace, if it was my choice, I would have replaced Boss Baby with Lego Batman, because, to me, Lego Batman is the second best animated movie this year after Coco, but the gap between the quality of the two films is huge, so no matter what, I'm still putting Coco high above every other animated film of 2017, because this has just been a very disappointing year in animation. And hell, you guys know how much I love Coco. Hell, in my Coco review, I even said I think that it could actually be another animated film that's actually nominated for Best Picture. Maybe I'm naive, but I do actually believe that. Okay, for the next category, it is Best Original Song Motion Picture. It always says Best Original Song, but then it'll have a comma and it'll say Motion Picture. Because a lot of these are, a lot of the topics are, a lot of the awards are repeats from television, so they have to be very specific. Okay, so you've got Home from Ferdinand, don't know what that sounds like. Mighty River from Mudbound, haven't seen that. The Star from The Star, I could care less. That movie looks stupid. Remember Me from Coco, really good song. And then This Is Me from Greatest Showman. Okay, I can already tell you what my favorite song out of these is, and it's Remember Me. Though I have to say goodbye, remember me. As for the other movies, as I said, I haven't seen Mudbound. Ferdinand, I haven't seen yet. I really do not care to see The Star, because again, it looks fucking stupid. And as for The Greatest Showman, ever since that first trailer, it's been one of my most anticipated films of 2017, and it's actually coming out this Wednesday, and me and Mallory are looking forward to seeing that a little bit later in the night. But yeah, that first trailer made it a really anticipated film for me, and my excitement only got bigger with each day and each announcement about it. And the song This Is Me was the song that was primarily showcased in the first trailer. And I really like how the song sounds, but due to the second one, I don't think it's going to be my favorite song from the movie. No, there's another song showcased in the second one called The Greatest Show, and because of that song, just because it has an excerpt where you can hear Hugh Jackman singing, I've watched that second trailer way too many times. Like, I'm just obsessed with that one because the song sounds really epic. But, again, I haven't seen The Greatest Showman yet, so who knows, I may actually come out and think, This Is Me really is the best song. Or it'll be like La La Land, where the City of Stars song will get all the accolades, and I'll be over here shouting like, "Hey, what about that audition song?" No? Okay, sad face. But anyway, moving on. Next is Best Original Score for a Motion Picture. Carter Burwell for their score from 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Alexander Desplat for The Shape of Water, Johnny Greenwood for Phantom Thread, John Williams for The Post, and Hans Zimmer for Dunkirk. Okay, I hardly have really any thoughts on this one because I've only seen 2 of those movies, but I think Hans Zimmer's score has a good chance because every time he works with Christopher Nolan, he pushes out gold. And I did think Burwell's score for 3 Billboards was good, but I wouldn't think it was nomination worthy. Everything else, like, I haven't seen Phantom Thread yet, but I really want to. For some reason, Shape of Water has not shown up around my town, even though we have a pretty big theater that shells out a lot of indie titles, or, like, somewhat lesser known movies that are more like in select theaters. And I don't know, like John Williams for The Post, I haven't seen that either, but that's the thing, I haven't heard the actual score for The Post, but like whenever I think John Williams, I'm thinking Star Wars, because I'll talk a little bit more about Star Wars The Last Jedi, but I will say I loved the John Williams score for Last Jedi, so I really don't know how John Williams can top it with The Post, which honestly I don't think it will, but then again, it is John Williams, and he's surprised us many times before with other things. Okay, so Best Screenplay for Motion Picture. What was that? That was weird. Best Screenplay for a Motion Picture. You've got Guillermo del Toro and Vanessa Taylor for The Shape of Water, Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird, Liz Hannah and Josh Singer for The Post, Martin McDonagh for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and Aaron Sorkin for Molly's Game. Again, with this one, I've only seen 2 films so far, and that's 3 Billboards and Lady Bird, although I do think Lady Bird is the most superior out of the 2. And that's literally all I can say on the category. I mean, so far, from what I've seen, I think Lady Bird deserves it, but again, I haven't seen 3 of these, so maybe they're actually more deserving. I do not know that. Let me see. Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role in Any Motion Picture. You have Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, which seems to be the actual frontrunner, because I've been hearing nothing but great things from him. Armie Hammer for Call Me By Your Name, Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World, and Sam Rockwell for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And yeah, that's one that I really don't have any opinion on, although I will say that Sam Rockwell did a pretty good job. Best Performance by an Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. You've got Steve Carell for Battle of the Sexes, Ansel Elgort for Baby Driver, James Franco for Disaster Artist, Hugh Jackman for The Greatest Showman. That one I was a little bit iffy on, even though I haven't seen it, mainly because I'm like, how do you top his performance in Logan earlier this year? I mean, whatever. And then Daniel Kaluuya in Get Out. This category I do have more of an opinion on, because I've pretty much seen most of these movies on here. I am actually seeing Disaster Artist today with Mallory and a work friend of mine, Thomas, so I'm actually really looking forward to that. But I have seen Baby Driver, I have seen Battle of the Sexes, and I have seen Get Out. And as far as who deserves it more out of Elgort, Carell, and Kaluuya, I would say Kalula, because he just really surprised me in Get Out, and that was the performance that put him on my radar. And I think that he's over the other two that I mentioned. And now, I know that it happened a while, but I really would have put up Hugh Jackman, but not for Greatest Showman, mainly because I haven't seen it yet. But I would have put him up for Logan, because he was just at his best with Logan. But hopefully when I see Greatest Showman on Wednesday, I'll be able to think, no, Logan was not his best for this year. Somehow, this was his best. Somehow he topped it. That would be kind of amazing. Oh, sorry. Oh, best performance by an actor in a motion picture drama. Timothy Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name. His name is spelled weird. I think he's Italian, so yeah. Daniel Day-Lewis in Phantom Thread. Tom Hanks in The Post. Gary Oldman in The Darkest Hour. And Denzel Washington in Roman J. Israel Esquire. It just says ESQ period. I don't know what that means. Let me see. We have a newcomer here in his breakout role that I haven't seen. We have who I believe is the greatest actor of all time, and we have two of the greatest actors to ever live. One of them actually giving the performance of his career, I've been told. And then we have an Academy Award-winning actor and director. And you know what? I haven't seen any of these movies because I haven't appeared anywhere in my city yet. Or at least, I think Roman J. Israel Esquire, or whatever it's called, I think that did show up for a couple of days, but I wasn't able to get enough time to actually go out and watch it, so I really have no opinion on that one. For Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, we have Judi Dench in Victoria and Abdul, Helen Mirren in The Leisure Seeker, Margot Robbie in I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan in Lady Bird, and Emma Stone in Battle of the Sexes. Okay, the two last names, Ronan and Stone, I believe deserve Best Actress nominations at the Oscars now. They need them right now. And yes, I know that Stone won the Academy Award last year, or no, technically this year, because the Oscars were like 9 or so months ago. But who says that she can't get who says that she can't win 2 consecutive years? I mean, males already have that covered. Tom Hanks is the only actor to win the Best Actor Oscar 2 consecutive years. Plus, her performance in Battle of the Sexes shows that her performance in La La Land was not a fluke. It was not a fluke. She is really a top-tier actress. And with Battle of the Sexes, I would actually say that she's becoming top 10 worthy. Maybe even top 5. I would have to really think on that for a long while, but it's possible. Okay, so Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture Drama. Jessica Chastain in Molly's Game, Sally Hawkins in The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Meryl Streep in The Post, and Michelle Williams for All the Money in the World. I'm not surprised that Chastain is up there. She's one of the best actresses working today. I absolutely love her, not to mention the fact that she's drop-dead gorgeous. And I can say that because, you know, like, no, I can't say that. That's gonna feel weird. I don't know how to word that, god damn it. I would edit that out, but I really don't feel like it. And seeing from the trailers for Shape of Water, I can tell that Hawkins' performance is really something special. I cannot wait until I somehow see it, if it ever comes to this goddamn town. Frances McDormand gave her best performance since Fargo, so she could win. And for the other two, I know Michelle Williams is really good. I don't know if I've actually seen her in anything that she was actually worthy of a win. I know she got nominated for this year for Manchester by the Sea, and I think that her performance was good. It's just that the character wasn't well written, so it kind of didn't really help. And then Meryl Streep to me is the greatest actress that ever lived. The only person that really gets close to her is Cate Blanchett, but she's off by a little bit. So she better damn well be nominated, Meryl Streep better. But so far, I've only seen McDormand's performance out of all of these, so I really don't have an opinion outside of speculation. Because, again, a lot of these things haven't come to my city. Okay, and then, actually, Best Director's up next. Okay, so we have Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water, Martin McDonagh I can't speak today, 3 Billboards, Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk, Ridley Scott for All the Money in the World, and Steven Spielberg for The Post. I'm fine with most of the nominations here. My only complaints are personal. Things like, I wish I could have seen them get a nomination, but I would have loved to see Denis Villeneuve, Greta Gerwig, Edgar Wright, Matt Reeves get put on there. But that's just me being picky, and hell, I would even say, you know what, fuck it, Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson could have gotten a nomination. Excuse me, I think. Okay, and now we're down to the last 2 categories for this topic, and then we'll move on to another. For Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy is Disaster Artist, Get Out, Greatest Showman, I, Tonya, and Lady Bird. These all seem like really good choices. Other than that, I have no opinion. And then finally, Best Motion Picture Drama. What the hell? Oh, it's a YouTube notification. It's for Collider. Best Picture Drama. Best Motion Picture Drama. Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, The Post, Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards. Which is kind of weird, because 3 Billboards kind of felt more like a comedy. But yeah, those are all the nominations, and hopefully we will see what happens at the Golden Globes, and hopefully right before we will get the Oscar nominations. I would love to do an entire video just sitting there talking about the nominations. I think that would be a lot of fun. Okay, so we're on our last topic. So this is Monday, and the weekend just ended, so I wanted to talk a bit about the weekend box office. So how I do this is I will list everything from the top 5, and I will start at 5 and then go all the way to 1. So I start from 5th place, go to 1st place, and each time I talk about a film, I will be mainly focusing on bullet points. You know, what was the domestic weekend for the US? What was the domestic total for the US so far? You know, if it's been out multiple weeks, or, you know, more than 1 week. And what's the worldwide total so far? So that's what I'll focus on. And then at the end, I'll put in a couple of comments. Okay, so in 5th place is Justice League, with a US domestic weekend of 4.1 million. Holy shit, that is disappointing as hell. With a domestic total of 219.4 million, with an overall worldwide total so far of 633.9 million. It is not getting its money back, and I am happy. Yeah. Okay, and then for 4th place is Wonder. That one's still going strong in the box office. For the U.S. domestic weekend, it took in 5.4 million, with an overall domestic total of 109.2 million, with an overall worldwide total of 153.6 million. Not too shabby for a little tiny movie that costs, like, I think 10 million, not including marketing. That's actually really good. In 3rd place is Coco, with the domestic weekend being at $10 million, with a domestic total of 150.8 million, with an overall worldwide total of 448.2 million. Holy shit. This movie. You guys know that I love this movie. This is one of my favorite movies of the year, and I am so happy that it's gotten as much recognition as it has been getting. It deserves so much, and I've loved it. I've gone to see it 3 times, and I am going to buy it on. I don't even have 4K. Like, I share a Vudu streaming account with my parents, and every once in a while we'll take turns like buying movies. They have a 4K they have a 4K TV. I don't. I'm willing to buy the 4K just so I can show it to them because I'm pretty sure they haven't seen it yet. Mainly because my parents are really old and they don't really go out to the movies that often, which is really sad for me because then I can't really talk to them about movies. In second place is Ferdinand, and this one opened up this weekend, so there's no domestic total really. But it opened in the US at 13.3 million, and it opened worldwide at 19 million. Not too bad for a start, but I mean, I don't think it's going to get any higher. It could end up being one of those things where it mostly stays level, and then it somehow ends up making its money back, but I really don't know. And then, a record breaker this weekend. In first place is Star Wars The Last Jedi with 220 million, the second highest rated opening ever in the US, after The Force Awakens. So that's fucking amazing. And then the overall worldwide total was just a hair over $450 million. And I swear, guys, if you haven't already seen my Star Wars The Last Jedi review, it's non-spoiler. It's already on my channel. Please go and watch it. I really love this movie. I know that there's a lot of issues with the movie, but a lot of the issues that many people had, I didn't have with it. I thought that everything really worked with it, and I honestly think it may be my favorite film of the year. And I know that's kind of cliche for me to say since I'm a die-hard Star Wars fan, like even getting into the overall canon and being an old fan of excuse me, an old fan of the expanded universe, especially when it came to Old Republic and anything New Republic. But this was an amazing movie. Hell, I'm actually going to be putting out a spoiler review on Friday because I'm going with a couple of friends to see it again on Tuesday or tomorrow because they haven't seen it yet and I really wanted to see it again, so gonna make it like a nice guys hangout sort of day. And actually one of them is the guy that I'm taking with Mallory to see Disaster Artist today, Thomas. He's one of them. But yeah, I will try to see if I can get a spoiler review up on Friday, if not a little bit before. I'm really glad that this movie is doing so well because I really loved it. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, please go see it. And also, watch out for spoilers and stay off the internet. And also, if anybody online is actually putting up spoilers, destroy them with the utmost prejudice. Like, if they're just going online and posting shit like, you know, hey, why did this person do this? Why was this revealed? Why was this information given to us? Why wasn't other information given to us like this instead? Destroy them with the utmost prejudice, somehow. Find a way to destroy them on the internet. Okay, and actually, that's it for for last week. Sorry that it was a little bit short. Actually, I don't even know how long it's been running. How long has this thing been running? Oh yeah, that is actually kind of short. That's odd. But yeah, there really wasn't too much happening last week because, a lot of news would have been overshadowed by two things. It would have been overshadowed by the, Disney, and Fox deal, as well as the release of The Last Jedi, which was pretty big, I swear. I'm gonna go before I start rambling, but that's literally it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope to see you next week. Farewell until the next video.